Have you ever heard of a place where time itself is afraid? A place where every clock, every single timepiece, freezes at the stroke of midnight? Tonight, we journey into the heart of darkness, to a place shrouded in legend and fear, the Abbey of St. Alara, the Abbey where clocks stop. For centuries, this crumbling Gothic structure has stood silent, a monument to a forgotten faith and a terrible secret. Locals whisper its name with a mix of reverence and terror. They speak of shadows that dance in the empty chapels and a chilling silence that is deeper than any quiet you've ever known. But the most terrifying tale, the one that has been passed down through generations, is the curse of the frozen clocks. The story begins in the 15th century. The Abbey of St. Alara was a thriving center of learning and devotion, led by the enigmatic Father Alistair. He was a man obsessed with time, mechanics, and what he believed was the divine order of the universe. He spent years crafting the Abbey's centerpiece, a magnificent grand clock in the main bell tower. It was said to be a masterpiece, its gears and cogs crafted with unparalleled precision, its chime echoing for miles across the valley. But Alistair was not just a clockmaker. He was a man dabbling in forces he did not understand. He believed that by perfectly capturing the flow of time, he could somehow touch the face of eternity, perhaps even control it. His journals, discovered centuries later, are filled with cryptic diagrams, strange astrological charts, and frantic writings about a temporal convergence, a moment when he believed he could halt time itself. The legend says that one fateful night on the eve of All Hallows, Father Alistair performed a forbidden ritual within the clock tower. He sought to stop his grand clock at the precise moment of midnight, believing it would create a gateway, a rift in the fabric of reality. The Abbey's other monks begged him to stop, warning him that such arrogance would only invite damnation. But Alistair, driven by his obsession, refused to listen. As the hour approached, a violent, unnatural storm gathered around the Abbey. The wind howled like a tortured spirit, and rain lashed against the stained glass windows. At the very moment the grand clock's hands reached the 12, a blinding light erupted from the tower, followed by a sound that wasn't a chime, but a scream. A wave of unseen energy pulsed outwards from the Abbey. Then, silence. A deafening, absolute silence. When the terrified monks finally dared to enter the clock tower, they found no trace of Father Alistair. He had vanished. The only thing left behind was his masterpiece, the grand clock, its hands frozen solid at midnight. And from that night forward, no clock within the Abbey's walls could ever pass that fateful hour. Mechanical, digital, even the simple ticking of a pocket watch, all cease their function as midnight strikes, only to resume their count seconds later, forever skipping that single cursed moment. Over the centuries, countless investigators, paranormal researchers, and thrill seekers have been drawn to the Abbey. They bring with them the most advanced timekeeping devices, hoping to debunk the myth. They set up cameras, atomic clocks, and sensitive recording equipment. Yet, the results are always the same. As the clock ticks towards 12 a.m., a strange energy spike is detected. The air grows cold, electrical equipment flickers and dies, and without fail, every single clock stops. We ourselves decided to investigate. Armed with night vision cameras and our own set of timepieces, we stepped across the threshold of St. Alara's Abbey. The air inside is heavy, thick with the dust of ages and something else, a palpable sense of dread. The shadows here are deeper, darker, and they seem to move just at the edge of your vision. Faint whispers echo through the empty naves, sounding like Latin prayers twisted into something malevolent. As we explored, we found the remnants of the past. The monks' cells, empty and cold. The scriptorium, where books lay rotting on their shelves. And in the main chapel, we saw them. Scratches on the stone walls, dozens of them, all clustered around the doorways, as if someone or something was desperately trying to get out, or perhaps keep something in. The Abbey's main hall is dominated by the haunting beauty of a shattered rose window. Below it, the stone floor is strangely discolored, a dark stain that no amount of time or weather has managed to wash away. It is here that many visitors report the most intense activity. The feeling of being watched is overwhelming. Disembodied footsteps echo from the galleries above, and some have even claimed to see a tall, shadowy figure in a monk's habit standing silently in the darkness, its face obscured by a deep hood. Is this the restless spirit of Father Alistair, forever bound to the site of his hubris? Our goal was the clock tower. The ascent is treacherous. The spiral staircase is narrow, crumbling, and cloaked in an almost total darkness. Each step upward feels like a descent into madness. The air gets colder, and a low, humming sound begins to vibrate through the stone, growing louder the higher you climb. It's an unsettling, inorganic sound, like a machine struggling to work against some immense, unseen force. Finally, we reached the top. There it was, the grand clock. It's a skeletal ruin now, its face cracked, its magnificent hands rusted and bent, still pointing defiantly at the 12. The complex machinery behind it is a tangled mess of gears and chains, coated in centuries of grime. But as we stood there, we realized the humming was coming from the clock itself. It was as if it was still trying to tick, its spirit fighting against the curse that holds it captive. We set up our equipment. 4 different clocks, a classic analog watch, a modern digital watch, a smartphone timer, and a high-precision chronometer. We positioned our cameras to capture both the clocks and the oppressive atmosphere of the tower. Then we waited. The minutes leading up to midnight are the longest and most terrifying you can imagine. The ambient humming intensified, the temperature plummeted, and the whispers from below seemed to grow into a chorus of desperate, pleading voices. The very air grew thick, pressing in on us. At 11:59, our equipment began to fail. Camera feeds flickered, audio recorders filled with static, and the light from our flashlights dimmed to a faint orange glow. Then it happened. As our chronometer displayed 11:59 and 59 seconds, a powerful jolt ran through the tower. For a single, heart-stopping instant, every sound ceased. The humming, the wind, the whispers, even the sound of our own breathing gone. It was a complete void of sensory input. In that moment of absolute nothingness, a shape materialized in the darkness beside the great clock. A tall, gaunt figure, its form flickering like a dying flame. We couldn't see a face, only a deeper darkness where one should be. And then, just as suddenly, reality snapped back. A loud clang like a broken bell echoed through the tower. Our lights flashed back to full power. We looked down at our timepieces. The analog watch's second hand, which had been sweeping steadily, was now still. The digital displays on the watch and phone were frozen at 12 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. The high-precision chronometer read the same. They stayed that way for what felt like an eternity, but was likely only 5 or 6 seconds. Then, one by one, they jumped back to life. The analog hand ticked forward. The digital displays flickered to 12 hours, 0 minutes, and 7 seconds. They had all stopped. They had all skipped the moment of midnight. The shadowy figure was gone, but the cold remained. A bone-deep chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. We had witnessed it. The curse of St. Olara's Abbey is real. It's not just a legend. It's a living, breathing phenomenon. A wound in time, left by one man's ambition. What did Father Alistair unleash that night? Did he trap himself between seconds? Or did he open a door to somewhere else? A place that now leaks into our world every night at the stroke of 12. We don't have the answers. All we know is that some places are best left alone. The Abbey of St. Olara holds its secrets tightly, and every night, it reminds us that there are forces in this universe far beyond our understanding. Time, for us, is a constant. But in that lonely, cursed abbey, Time itself holds its breath in fear. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey. If you enjoyed this exploration into the unknown, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next descent into darkness. Stay safe, and whatever you do, don't watch the clock at midnight.